Episode number 151 of Making a Case. The 7 deadly sins of a relationship. Let's get to it. What up, YouTube? We back with another episode of Making a Case. Glad you can make it. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Jacob Isom. Hey, we got two channel norms over here. One, we attack points and not people. And two, we don't do all that cussing derogatory stuff because we like to keep it professional over here. All right. Hey, we're talking about the 7 deadly sins of a relationship. Now you may be wondering what those 7 deadly sins are. We're talking about trust. We're talking about honesty. We're talking about transparency. We're talking about money issues. We're talking about what's my other three? Stagnation, as well as a couple more. Actually, we'll get into when we get into the video. But all those things can really lead to the end or some really severe and dire consequences for the relationship. Because honestly, what we typically see is that if the relationship doesn't end because of those factors, they will perpetuate themselves in a very ugly manner, and it will lead to people being very dissatisfied. I don't know if I said cheating is one of them. Lead to people cheating on each other and things of that nature, right? So, in this video, what we're gonna do, we're gonna cover those seven, and we're gonna kind of have a conversation and go over the reason why those seven are in particular are the ones that could really, really, really ruin a relationship. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the clip I got for you. All right.
Indicate that around 50% of new relationships, particularly romantic partnerships, end within the first few years. These high rate of failure can be contributed to various habits. These habits can definitely destroy your love life. If you're interested in getting to know them, please keep watching to the end, and this might just help save your relationship. Now let's discuss these habits that may hurt your love life. Recognizing and avoiding destructive habits is crucial for a healthy relationship. Here are 15 habits that you should avoid to save your love life. Various studies suggest that around 30% to 50% of couples may engage in this behavior at some point of their relationship. Is that you? Do you find these patterns in your current relationship? One of the most damaging habits in any relationship is making your partner feel small, especially when it's done in front of others.
And that's very true. And what I attach this to when I talk about the 7 deadly sins, I attach this to trust, right? If someone is willing to embarrass you and confront you about a topic, have conflict with you in front of other people, how can you trust them? Right? We all understand that serious conversations that should be in private, should happen in private. Right? So I think this issue definitely touches on the trust part. All right. So I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit and get to some of the other 15 that they're gonna address.
Picture this. Your partner comes to you, eager to share some exciting news. Are you fully present, listening with genuine interest, or are you scrolling through your phone, giving half-hearted responses? Ignoring your partner's feelings can be just as harmful as outright criticism. Humans are emotional, regardless if you are tough or not. Our feelings are what shaped us throughout the years. It makes us humans. Without feelings, there are no connections. And without connections, there are no feelings. Over time, this emotional neglect can lead to feelings of loneliness and resentment. So, put down the phone and truly listen, care, and show empathy.
And before we get to the next one, I think this has everything to do with honesty or transparency, right? Because these are situations that people have to express upfront about how they feel about when someone is on social media or someone's not giving them eye contact or whatever the case may be, that they feel disrespected or they feel not heard, right? These are conversations, these are standards, right? These are boundaries that got to be set up front so that people, if they do cross that line, well, you understand if it continues happening over and over, well, then possibly the relationship can end if it's not addressed, right? So I think you can kind of fit in that honesty, transparency range.
We all have boundaries, those invisible lines that define our personal space, our limits, and our comfort zones. Respecting those boundaries is about valuing your partner's individuality. We come to respect our partner's individuality,
We're going to
being
move
open
on
for them to be
boundaries, like
themselves,
I already touched on.
not what we. Bringing up past arguments. Well, why do you do that? And if you find yourself navigating towards this path, it is not too late to reevaluate one's actions. Think about the future and live there. At times, it's not just an easy task. We've all been there, stuck in a heated argument, dredging up past grievances like weapons from a dusty arsenal. Bringing up past arguments keeps the relationship stuck in a toxic cycle of the blaming games. Instead of moving forward, we tend to reopen old wounds, preventing real progress. To build a healthy relationship, you need to let go of what happened and focus on creating a productive future. The past.
And of course, we know that has everything to do with trust, right? Because if the past is still being brought up, that means that person is not over it. That person, what we like to say, hasn't healed, right? And the problem still exists, right? So if a conversation keeps getting brought up over and over again, that means that person is not over it. That means that they still having some trust issues, right? So trust is one of the main things that can really, really cause damage in a relationship. Let's skip forward. It seems like he's gonna be talking.
Not taking responsibility for our actions. We all make mistakes in relationships. No relationship is freely perfect without mistakes. What separates a healthy relationship from a toxic one is owning up to our mistakes. Refusing to acknowledge our role shifts blame, creating resentment and defensiveness. Taking responsibility requires humility, maturity, and a desire to grow. It's about acknowledging the impact of your actions, even if unintentional. Admitting our mistakes is a healthy part of every toxic-free relationship. It promotes open communication, encouraging a culture of honesty and transparency, which at times strengthen connections. When we take responsibility for our actions, we tend to direct the course of our relationship.
Right. So that touched on the honesty and transparency part, right? If you're not willing to be accountable, if you're not willing to admit when you're wrong, then how can a relationship really move forward healthy when someone is always placing the blame on you? So this is a huge one. Let's see if we're gonna get to that. We ain't gonna touch that. Let's see what they got to conclude with.
Cultivate a healthier, more loving partnership built on mutual respect and trust. Awareness is the first step towards change, and by acknowledging these habits, you can create a more.
All right. I was hoping that they actually touched on a couple more that I considered the deadly sins. They touched on the honesty and transparency and trust. That's pretty much what the video was really focused on. One thing they didn't touch on jealousy. They didn't touch on money issues. They didn't touch on stagnation. They did touch on communication, right? So those are the seven deadly sins in a relationship. Being jealous of a partner, being jealous that your partner has a connection with another person, right? These things can really come up and affect your relationship. And of course, we understand that your partner making more money or not enough money or they don't have the ambition you would like, that could definitely drive a wedge through a relationship, right? So these key factors are things that you want to pay attention to and you want to touch up front, right? What are your feelings on these things? Because to be honest with you, they shouldn't be your partner if you're not aligned on them anyway. And that goes back to the vetting process, right? So I think a lot of times people make mistakes because they get in a relationship off of potential and not off of based on things that they really need. And you can always grow with somebody, right? But at the end of the day, you want to have that foundation set and build off from there, not have these high hopes and then it come crashing down. All right. All right, we're gonna end the video right there. Hopefully, the video gave you perspective, and my elaboration did as well. What do you think about the seven daily relationship sins? Would you like to add any more to the list? That will become more than seven, right? Let me know in your comments. Let me know what you think. Of course, you know I appreciate you for tuning in and rocking with your boy. All right, but as always, I'm you, you're me. Love always, love return. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. We out. Deuces. One love.